So a very good evening to everyone. Today we are going to start the next session, or the leftover chapter which we have continued, which we have done yesterday. That is environmental issues. So before starting the class, please let me know through this technical poll that I am audible and visible to you or not. So here is your poll. Please let me know that I'm audible and visible to you properly or not. Okay, may you please let me know who's present with the name of admin. Okay, so let's wait for 1 or 2 minutes so that others can also join. Then we'll start the class. Okay, so in the previous class or in the last class, we have done with the 3 types of pollution, that is air pollution, sound pollution, and the water pollution. So today we are going to start, and we are going to discuss the different topics: the biomagnification, eutrophication, the types of waste, that is solid waste, their management, right? Then the causes of global warming, what are the solutions for this global warming. So we are going to discuss only about the waste and their management and the reasons why we have to go for this management. Okay, so the first topic today we are going to discuss is the biomagnification. Okay, as the term itself says, something is getting magnified, something is getting magnified, that is amplification. Amplification of something is taking place. Amplification, that means the amount is increasing, right? So in biomagnification, this amplification or the increase of amount is taking place within the living organism. It is taking place within a living organism. So as you can see, here we have phytoplankton. This is an aquatic ecosystem, as you can understand by this picture, and the phytoplanktons are the producers of the aquatic ecosystem. Okay, so for example, these phytoplanktons have the DDT. As you know, this is a pond. So the pond is surrounded by the fields most of the time. So whenever we spray the fertilizers, the chemicals in the field, and then we do the irrigation, those fertilizers get solubilized in the water and moves towards or get mixed in a water source, that is the nearby pond or a river or lake, anything which is present there. So for example, let's take it is a DDT, right? So in phytoplanktons, due to the dissolving of that DDT in water, the phytoplankton has consumed some amount of it. Okay, and DDT is a non-biodegradable compound, right? It cannot be metabolized, it cannot be degraded. So it started accumulating inside the phytoplankton, and the amount the phytoplanktons carry of DDT is 0.025 parts per million, right? It is in parts per million. Now this phytoplanktons, according to the food chain, is eaten by the zooplanktons, because zooplanktons are the first consumers in an aquatic ecosystem. So this zooplanktons further leads to the accumulation of that DDT, because the source for the DDT is phytoplanktons to them, right? So when they are consuming the phytoplankton, they keep on started deposition of that DDT. So in the food chain, when we go to the higher level, the deposition or the accumulation of these non-biodegradable compounds get increased. Okay, so you can see this also here in this. So this is a duck, or we can say it is a bird, and this bird is having 124 or 125 parts per million amount of DDT which is accumulated inside the body. Starting we have done with a 0.025 parts per million, and leading to the highest level, like for primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. When we reach to our quaternary consumer, the accumulation amount to become 125 parts per million. So accumulation of this chemical substance leads to the thinning of the eggshells. The egg which is produced by the bird will become thin, okay, due to which they easily get cracked and the new species, new generation could not appear. Okay, so as I said, the biomagnification is the deposition of the non-biodegradable compounds. Here we have the DDT, which disturbs the calcium metabolism in birds, and due to which the thinning of the eggshell takes place and causes the premature breaking, and it causes the decline in the bird population. This is what we have discussed right here. Okay, along with DDT, the biomagnification of mercury also takes place. Apart from DDT, mercury is also a chemical compound which is present and which is responsible for this biomagnification. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so if this concept is clear to you, please let me know whether just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, due to some issues, the screen is not coming full. Okay, let it be then. Next, we are moving towards this question. So your today's question is, what phenomena occurs? What phenomena occurs due to the accumulation of certain pollutants that increase in concentration along the food chain? What is the phenomena, the process in which the pollutants getting accumulated as we are moving towards the higher level of the food chain? Your options are A, eutrophication, B, pollution, C, deforestation, and D option is biomagnification. Okay, so if this question clear to you, please give your answer through this poll. I'm launching the poll. You have to feed your answer in this poll. Guys, you need to give the answer. Okay, so as you have not given the answer is biomagnification. This is the process which we have just studied, that when we move to the higher tropical levels, when we move to the higher tropical levels in a food chain, the pollutant which is consumed by the lower organism start getting accumulated in the higher organism due to the overconsumptions of these lower organisms. Okay. Then next concept we have is the eutrophication. The next is we have the eutrophication. What happens in the eutrophication? Eutrophication is none other than the natural aging. It is the natural aging of aquatic system. Okay, it is the natural aging of the aquatic system, right? So how this takes place? For example, initially we have a particular landfill. Okay, we have a pit on which we have a good amount of water. Initially, what happens if the water body having a very is present there for a very long period of time? What happens due to the passage of time? Due to the passage of time, the organism which was staying in that water body start degrading, right? Due after their death, they start degrading. And when when the degradation and the decomposition of those aquatic organisms takes place, they start getting sedimented. They start getting sedimented at the base of the aquatic system. So when they start getting accumulated or sedimented at the aquatic system, the amount of nutrients and the minerals keep on increasing in the water. Now, the amount of water is decreasing due to the increasing level of sediment, and due to the sedimentation, the nutrient value of the water keep on increasing. And this increasing nutrient value this increasing nutrient value of the lake leads to the growth of alga. This leads to the growth of alga. As you can see, when due to the high nutrient concentration, algae form a complete layer. Alga form a thick layer over the water surface, due to which the sunlight would not reach the lower level of the lake. Now, due to which the lower water level become oxygen deficient, and due to this deficiency, the aquatic organisms start to die. Aquatic organisms start to die. So see what happens here in eutrophication is what? Natural aging of lake. Okay. So in a young lake, water is cold and clear. When initially the lake forms, the lake is having a cold water with a clear water. With the time, the streams draining into the lake introduce nutrient. Stream draining matlab we have the sewage waters, the irrigating water, everything is getting dumped into that lake water, due to which it increases the lake fertility, right? So due to the increased due to the increased fertility of the lake, the plants and animals grow rapidly inside the lake, and the organic remains get deposited on the bottom of the lake. So as the water get that the sedimentation rate increases, the water level decreases, and due to the rapid growth and the introduction of we can say the nutrients makes this lake swallower, that is the level is decreasing and warmer, and due to which the water also becoming warm. And now what happens? The marshy plants take root in the shallow water. Now the water level is less. At the bottom of that water, we have a thin, or we can say a very thick layer of soil, which is not so solid. It is making a swampy area. Okay. So in this swampy region, the marshy plants make their root, or they start growing in that and start filling the lake. And they start filling the lake. And as you can see, as the aging of this lake takes place as the time passes through. The sedimentation rate has increased so much. That was initially was present here. Now it has increased to here. So this aging of water body is also increased or accelerated by the climate. Okay, it is also accelerated by the effluents which we are releasing from the industries and water. So due to this, when the aging process of water body increases, it is known as cultured or accelerated eutrophication. So in a very less duration of time, as compared to the natural duration, in a very less duration of time, the lake or the aquatic system get converted into the land. Okay. So the prime contaminants behind the fastened or accelerated eutrophication of lake is the nitrates and the phosphates, because they overstimulate the growth of alga, and due to the presence of this, they causes unsightly scum and unpleasant odor in the water, because the water level, the oxygen level in the water start getting deficient. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to you? Okay, so here is your question. The question says, what happens when phosphorus nitrate are when phosphorus nitrates and detergent in water lead to an acceleration in the growth of algae. In the growth of algae, what we have added? We have added phosphorus, nitrogen, and detergent. Those are all salts, right? So what happens? Your option A is extinction, B, eutrophication, C, increase in the number of fishes, D, increase in the number of aquatic plants. So you have to give your answer through this MCQ poll, that what is the answer? Your option, what is your option? A, B, C, or D? According to the question, that due to the introduction of phosphates, nitrates, and detergent, what happens to the water body? Your option A was extinction, B says eutrophication, C says it is increases the number of fishes, and D says it increases the number of aquatic plants. Okay, you have to give your answer. You are left with the 2-3 seconds. Okay, so as now I have ended the poll, none of you have given the answer. So the answer is eutrophication. As we have just talked about, these salts or these compounds are responsible for the acceleration of the aging of our aquatic system. So it leads to the eutrophication. Okay, it leads to the eutrophication. Okay, so next here we have the heated wastewater. Where this heated wastewater is coming? Obviously, thermal power plants. These thermal power plants releases the water which is at a very high temperature. The water is almost boiling. Okay, so when such boiling water is introduced into any of the water body, it affects the organism, because the aquatic organisms were very sensitive to the high temperature, because the aquatic organisms were very sensitive to the high temperature. So it enhances the growth of plant and fish in extremely cold area, but only after causing damage to the indigenous flora and fauna. It includes artificial or natural processes. We have to control all this. So for controlling all this, because this heated wastewater which is coming from thermal power plant is causing the damage to our aquatic body. So we have to what do? We have to protect our aquatic body. And when we are going to do the protection of the water body or a natural resource through the use of both artificial and natural process, it is known as mixed conservation or mixed protection. So example of this is the town of Arcata. It is the example of this is town of Arcata, where which is present in a California. So the town people and the biologists of the Humboldt State University created an integrated waste water treatment process. They have created 6 concrete marshes. They have created the 6 concrete marshes of 60 hectares of marshland. Okay. Now what they do, initially they remove the all pollutants from the water, which is coming from the industries and thermopower plant. Okay, initially they were doing the physical treatment. They are removing sediments, they are filtrating it, and they are doing the chlorine treatment so that the heavy metals and pollutants can be removed. And after removal of these pollutants, they leave this water to the large marshy region, to the large ponds which they have made, which is of around 60 hectares. And in this area, they left these treated water. They left this treated water for the further biological natural treatment, which can be done by only plant, algae, fungi, and bacteria. Now, in the second step, which is the biological treatment, we are not providing. We are not providing any hindrance. This is all takes place due according to the nature. So what happens? They neutralizes and absorbs the assimilated pollutant. All these microorganisms which are present in the water, they start accumulating the pollutant, and due to which they make the water naturally purified. Okay, so they make the water naturally purified, and to restrict the human activities or human hindrance in this process, they have made or converted these marshy regions into the sanctuary. And along with the wildlife present there, some people, some citizens are also surviving. So this whole project is comprising both the wildlife, the flora, the fauna, and the living or the local citizen there, who are safeguarding the project, who are protecting the project by the hindrance of the foreign people to not create any unnecessary activity which can restrict or which can alter the biological process. And this group of citizens which are taking care of the project are known as FORM, that is Forms of the Arcata Marsh. Okay, the Friends of the Arcata Marsh. So that was a very good example. And as you know, the household waste and industrial waste is increasing so much. So we have lead to another step, that is ecological sanitation. In this ecological sanitation, what we are doing, we are collecting, the human excreta and the dry compost from the toilets, right? And now we are using this excreta to make them the compost, right? Whatever the edible organic waste we are producing of plants and through the animal excrete or the human excrete, that is the organic waste. Now that excrete is recycled into the resource, that is our natural fertilizer. Now when we are going to convert these excrete into the fertilizer, we are not in further, we are not going to have a need of the chemical fertilizer. So through this we can reduce the use of chemicals. And this process is taking place through the dry toilets, and this step has been taken place first by the Kerala and the Sri Lanka. And the toilets the involved in this process are known as ecosan toilets. Okay, and the process is ecological sanitation. Okay, and when the government awakened that the pollution is still being uncontrolled, so it has released act, it has passed an act, that is Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act in 1974, to safeguard the water resources, to protect our rivers and all the aquatic systems which are present near to us. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Okay, now so we are moving towards the next, that is the types of waste. Initially we are going to talk about the solid waste. So the solid waste is referred to the waste with whatever we have thrown in a trash. So whatever goes inside a trash is sorry is referred as a solid waste. And in that solid waste we have the municipal waste. Okay, we have the municipal solid waste, which include the waste coming from the hospitals, offices, stores, schools, hospitals, and so many areas. Now the process or the taking care of this waste which is coming to the dump yards is taken up completely by the municipality. Either they are going to dispose it, either they are going to recycle it, whatever they want to do, that is done by only the municipality. Okay, so initially what they do to reduce the amount of this garbage, they have open landfills, right? In open landfills they usually burn the garbage, but they burn the garbage incompletely so that the amount of garbage reduces, right? But due to the throwing of these garbage in the open dumps, in the open landfills, they leads to the breeding of rats and flies. Now, the breeding of rats and flies will become a very curious cause of the spreading diseases. That is why we have skipped the option of this open dumps. Instead, we have started producing the landfills. The sanitary landfills. The sanitary landfills are just like a deep ducts. Okay, these are the deep holes, or we can say the pits, in which we initially throw all the organic dump. Okay, or we can say the semi or incomplete burnt dumps. First we throw there, and on that dump we always spread, or on the daily basis we spread the soil. Okay, what we are doing in sanitary landfills, we are using these sanitary landfills instead of the, or we can say as a substitute for the open burning yards, open burning dump fields. So in this we are initially putting all the organic waste in that pit, and then we are covering that pit with a soil. Okay, so after covering this, they will lead to the decomposition and degradation of the garbage if the garbage is organic garbage. But there were some limitations of this landfills, that the amount of garbage which is produced in the metropolitan city is such a high waste amount, that if we throw a daily, if we throw the one day garbage there, the landfill, that sanitary landfill itself get filled in a one day. So we are unable to create so many landfills there. So that is the limitation. That first, the limitation is the garbage which is produced in the metropolitan cities are very high. Okay, next, this accumulation of the pollutants and the garbage also leads to the seepage of chemicals from the landfills, which pollutes the underground water, because during this process we are not segregating, we are not segregating the different types of waste. Whatever waste we have, either it is biodegradable, non biodegradable, electronic, poisonous, toxic, any kind of waste, we have mixed it and dump it in a pit, right? So that is become a harmful stage for our groundwater. Next, now we have thought for some alternate, because that sanitary landfill idea got completely failed because of the large amount of waste production and the non-segregation of waste product. So we lead to the further step. But before leading to the further step, we have categorized the solid waste into three categories. First is biodegradable, which can be easily decomposed, right? Which contains the vegetables, fruits, all the kitchen waste. Then we have the non-biodegradable waste, which contains the plastic packets, poly bags, and polystyrene. All the product which cannot be degraded in thousands of or hundreds of years. And last category is the recyclable, which we can easily recycle, like plastic. Okay, the like plastic, e-waste, papers, all these products are present here. So apart from categorizing the solid waste and moving towards the segregation of waste and recycling and reuse of these waste, we have started the eco-friendly packaging also. That means instead of packaging the stuff in a plastic bag, we are advised to carry the cloth bag or carry some natural fiber bags along with the paper bag to buy any stuff or to carry any kind of stuff, so that the use of the poly bag slightly decreases. Okay. Then the e-waste. Apart from the e-waste, we have the hospital waste, which contain all the disinfectants, harmful chemicals, and pathogenic microorganisms. Because this is what we get from the hospital. We have the cottons, we have bandages, we have chemicals, so many chemical drugs. Okay, injections were there, right? The samples of a patient, these are all discarded. So these are all decomposed by the hospital itself in an incinerator. We can say this incinerators are the furnaces in which they usually burn all these harmful substances. Okay. Apart from that, we have the e-waste, that is electronic waste. Whatever object we are using to make an electronic appliance is comes under the electronic waste, right? So this electronic waste is recycled in a developed countries. E-waste is successfully recycled. Okay, it is recycled in the developed countries. But as you know, the India, China, and Pakistan, all these are the developing countries. We do not have so much facilities to recycle this e-waste. So what we are doing, we are segregating the components from this e-waste. Like, as you know, in the chips of the electronics, we use so many metals. So the copper, iron, silicon, neon, and gold, all these metals were recovered before sending these e-waste to the recycling process. Because after that we have what? The fiber and the plastic body. Okay. Okay. So a case study for the plastic remedy was given here, and that is belonging to the Ahmed Khan. Ahmed Khan was a plastic sack manufacturer who used to make the borings, the sack of the plastic, right? So when he started his work, after starting his work, after 8 years of his work, he realized that this plastic is becoming a very, very we can say the concerning topic, right? Because it is non-degradable. We have no idea of decomposing it, and it is also polluting our land. So this polybags become a topic of concern. He realized it after 8 years of starting his company. So what he developed, he started developing polybag. What is polybag? Polybag is a fine powder of the plastic which can be recycled. He started collecting plastic, right? And now that plastic is crushed and crushed to make a very fine particles, and those fine particles of those recyclable or modifiable plastic is known as polyband. Now what happens with this polyband? They mix this polyband with the bitumen. Everyone knows bitumen is a petroleum product which is extracted from the petroleum by the refining process, right? So when we mix this polyband with the bitumen and lay it over the roots, it will increases the life efficiency of the road. It increases the life of a road by threefold. So because this bitumen mixed polybag makes a mixture which is having a water repellent property. So due to which the road life have increased by the 3 folds. Okay, and that also cost a very less, right? This process is very cheap, and to appreciate and to encourage the collection of plastic, what he has done, initially 0.4 rupees, that is 40 paisa, was given to the rack pickers to collect the plastic. But now he started paying them 6 rupees. Now he started paying them 6 rupees per kg for the collection of that plastic, right? And the good example of this polymer mixed bitumen laid road is found in the Bangalore, which is having nowadays, it leads up to the 40-kilometer road. 40-kilometer road has been constructed in a Bangalore by using the mix of this polyvan and bitumen. Okay, next we have the integrated organic farm. What happens? To not incorporate any kind of chemical, to not incorporate any kind of chemical in or in agriculture, what the Ramesh Chandra Dagar does, the Ramesh Chandra Dagar, he's a great man, he's an ideal for the farmers belonging to the Sonipat, Haryana. What he done, he included beekeeping, dairy management, water harvesting, composting agriculture in their farming. Okay, in their agriculture, he included all the stuff. He started animal husbandry, right, along with the agriculture and the water harvesting. From the animal husbandry, he started getting the excrete, the waste product of the animal, and from the agriculture, it is also getting the waste or leftover of the harvest. So he started using these to produce the manure, right? Manure or fertilizer. If such a nutritious manure is formed without any without paying any cost, so it has become very effective for the farming, and most important thing, it is not carrying any harmful chemical, right? And the beekeeping was also there, which helps in the pollination and the flourishment of our plants, right? So what advantages he got through this integrated farming? Initially, they get support each other and allow an economical and sustainable venture. As I told you, the animal husbandry and farming both are interdependent, right? So they supported each other, due to which a sustainable venture is set up. There was no need of chemical fertilizer, as the dung which is produced by the animals was used as a manure, which is a very good manure for our plants. And third, the crop waste which was produced after the harvest or post harvest is converted into the natural fertilizer. And during the formation of this compost, he also produced the natural gas, and the process used here is the biogas plant. Okay, the biogas plant is used to manufacture this compost, where the biogas is also produced, and the energy which is produced by this biogas he used in his for his household purpose and for the energy or the electricity formation. So due to his this initiation and organic farming, also the Dagar has itself created an welfare club, and this welfare club is having the members, 5,000 members. Right now they have 5,000 members. Okay, is it clear? The most next topic of our concern is the radioactive waste. Initially, we are very happy to introduce this nuclear plants, because by using a small amount of radioactive material, we are able to produce a good hundreds of folds of amount of energy in just a few seconds. But as the time passed, we have find out that this nuclear energy is not beneficial. Instead, it is very problematic. How it is problematic? The two problems which originates by the use of this nuclear material is, first, the accidental leakage. The Chernobyl incident, there the leakage of this radioactive material takes place, due to which so many people died because of this radioactive exposure, the radioactive radiation exposure. Because this radioactive radiations are so effective, they leads to the mutation and causes, if the exposure is less, it causes cancer. But if you get the higher exposure to this radioactive material or the radiation, the death is definite. So this is causing the lethal, or when it is given at a low higher dose, and it become the cancerous when the lower exposure is taken. So the safe disposal of this radioactive waste is also a great. Okay, so for what happened here, it is recommended to store the nuclear waste in shielded. Okay, I'm so sorry. I think I lost the connection in between. So as we are talking about the radioactive waste, okay, so that radioactive waste has become cancerous and concern. You can see the people here wearing the protective gear, and along with that protective gear, they are having these yellow color drums. These are the containers which is containing the radioactive waste, but this radioactive waste is treated one. Okay, initially the treatment of this radioactive waste has taken place. Now that radioactive waste is filled in these containers, and after filling them in this container, these containers are dumped in the earth surface 500 meters lower in the earth surface. Okay, so that the public or the people would not get exposed or opposed to this radioactive material. Okay, the next we have the greenhouse effect and the global warming. Everyone is aware about this, that greenhouse effect, all the or the global warming is taking place. The greenhouse effect or the global warming is taking place due to the emission of some gases. The major gases included here is carbon dioxide, methane, right, CFC, and the nitrogen. Okay, the oxides of nitrogen. These four are the major gases. These are also known as the greenhouse gases, which are leading to the global warming. That is, they are able to increase the temperature of the earth. How it is happened? What is greenhouse? So greenhouse, we can say we have a small house made up of glass. For example, you can take a car, right? The car is having the windshield and the windows made up of glass. So when we stand, or when we park this car in a sunlight, right, for like 1 or 2 hours, and now what happens when we again enter inside the car, right, where we found that car is having a very high temperature inside as compared to the outside environment, because that glass which was present in the car is able to trap the heat. Glass was able to trap the heat, and due to the storage of heat, the temperature keep on increasing. So same thing happens in a greenhouse effect. These gases, the carbon dioxide and the methane, they are acting as the greenhouse, or they are introducing, they are acting as a glass which are trapping the infrared radiation. They are trapping the infrared radiations of the sun. right? What happens in a stratosphere? We have the ozone layer, but before that, in troposphere, a layer is formed by this what? This carbon dioxide and methane, due to which the infrared radiations enters inside the earth, but they never goes outside. As you can see, the radiation is coming inside, but it is not getting reflected back. Okay, so they are all get trapped inside the earth. If the greenhouse effect was not there, the average temperature which was estimated for earth is minus 18 degree Celsius, but due to this greenhouse effect, it is measured as positive 15 degree Celsius. So you can see how much difference in the temperature of earth has taken place. Initially it has to be minus 18 degrees Celsius, but due to the greenhouse effect, the average temperature of the earth has raised up to the 15 degree Celsius. Okay, so here you can see the major amount of greenhouse effect gases: carbon dioxide, then methane, then CFC, and then oxides of nitrogen, which I have already told you. So it is says that clouds and gases reflects 1/4 of the incoming solar radiation, but a rest 3/4 radiation get trapped inside the earth surface, and the radiation which are trapped inside the surface is infrared radiation, which is the major cause of increasing the heat. Okay, so these gases radiates heat energy. How? As these gases attract or get interacted with this infrared radiation, they started radiating the heat energy, and due to the greenhouse effect, again the energy would not be able to emit out. So this overheating of earth due to this greenhouse is known as the global warming. And as we have measured in last 3 decades, that the temperature of the earth is increased by 0.6 degrees Celsius, which is leading to the melting of glaciers as well. Okay, which is leading to the climatic change, which is also known as El Nino effect, leading to the melting of the glaciers, the polar ice cap, and the snows in the Himalaya, due to which the sea level started increasing. And due to the rise in sea level, the coastal areas and the island countries are under great threat. They can be get submerged any time, any point of a time. So El Nino effect is what? An abnormal weather pattern caused by the warming of Pacific Ocean near the equator. As you know, as the season changes in geography, you have studied, as the season changes due to the direction of wind. So the wind and the water which is coming from the Pacific Ocean is much warmer as compared to the Arabic Sea. So due to this effect, the temperature and the melting of polar ice cap is taking place. How can we control the global warming? We can control the global warming by reducing the use of fossil fuels, by making the efficiency of energy. That means no excessive use of electricity. If you are the only person sitting in your house and it is a daytime, please switch off the light, right? Please switch off the light. Then by reducing the deforestation, because the forests are the only areas which are able to control the carbon dioxide level. We have studied in the carbon cycle in ecosystem that these forest, or we can say the plants, are only organisms which are able to fix the carbon dioxide or to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the environment. Then by slowing down the growth of population, because this all deforestation process and the excessive use of fossil fuel only taking place to fulfill the need of a human population. If the population is keep on decreasing, if it is stays under control, the need of the population would not increase, and if it would not increase, obviously the global warming automatically decreases. And the last topic of the day is the ozone depletion. Okay, the next is our ozone depletion. That is the breaking down of ozone. As you can see here, in Arctic region and on the Antarctic region, the purple color or the blue color hole has started making. Initially, it was this. This is the initial stage, and within a 1 year, you can see this is the picture of 2010, and this is the picture of 2011. A good amount or a good circle has been created. This is the thinning. This is the thinning of ozone layer. This is the thinning of ozone layer. So we have found two types of ozone layer, the bad ozone layer and the good ozone layer. Bad ozone layer is found in the troposphere, which harms the plants and animals, whereas the good ozone layer is found in stratosphere, which absorbs the UV radiation. All the UV radiations which are smaller than the UVB rays, all the rays which are smaller than the UVB rays are absorbed by this good ozone layer, and the thickness of this ozone layer is measured in Dobson's unit. So what happens when UVB rays enters inside the earth? It causes the inflammation. It causes the inflammation of the skin, inflammation of eyes, mutation in DNA, basically leading to the skin cancer. So UVB are the most completely absorbed by the earth atmosphere, and this UVB is responsible for the skin cancer. And if you move to some snowy region, then the snow usually reflect back this UVB radiation. And when we move in that region, so those UVB radiations due to the reflection enters in your eyes and causes the damage to the cornea. And this damage to the cornea is also known as snow blindness, because this UVB radiations permanently damages the cornea, leading to the blindness. Okay. The next, to control all this, we have made a treaty which was known as Montreal Protocol, and it was signed in 1987. And this protocol, according to this protocol, in the developed and the developing country, we have to reduce the emission of CFC, that is chlorofluorocarbon, because chlorofluorocarbon is responsible for the breaking down of ozone molecules into normal oxygen molecules. Okay. Now we are moving towards the degradation by improper resource utilization. That means the degradation of our environment, of resources, is also taking place due to their unbalanced use, right? For example, the soil erosion is the result of deforestation, excessive deforestation. If we over cultivate a land, if we do the rapid or frequent forest cutting, overgrazing, and poor irrigation is there, then the soil become infertile and it become barren, due to which it keep on removing through the wind or through the water, right? So you can see the comparison here. Due to the over exploitation of land, the land become barren, and when the land become barren, the soil erosion takes place. It can take place by the help of any agent. It can be wind or the water. Okay. So the next is the waterlogging. For example, you have a field. Okay, you can see in this lower picture, this is a field. In this field, the farmer has not created a proper drainage system. That means he has created the rows to irrigate the field, but he has not created a proper outlet so that the excessive water can move out of the field. Okay, so due to this stagnant water, when the water becomes stagnant, it start dissolving the salt from the soil. It start withdrawing the salt from the soil and make them deposit on the roots of the plant, and make them deposit on the roots of the plant, so that the roots are unable to breathe, and due to the deposition of the minerals or salts, they are unable to make the exchange of nutrients and gases, which leads to a heavy damage for the agriculture. Okay. And the last is, as you know, the deforestation. You know, the forests are the lungs of our earth, and this deforestation is actually causing what? The damage to our lungs. Okay, it is causing damage to our lungs. So initially it was found that we have already taken up the 40% forest area by the deforestation. We have eliminated 40% forest region. So with this concern, the National Forest Policy, which is introduced in 1988, has recommended that we have to maintain the 33% forest and 67% of forest in a hilly region. But till now, we have only the 19.4% of forest cover. Till now, we have just reached to the 19.4. We have to reach up to the 33, minimum 33%. Okay, and the reason behind the deforestation is very clear to everyone knows, that is conversion of forest into the agriculture land, the excessive use of timber, firewood, and cattle ranching, and next is the slash and burn agriculture, that is also known as room cultivation. When the population was less, we are not requiring so much land for the agriculture. So what people do in the northeastern states, they usually land burn the land after harvesting the crop, and the ashes were left over on the land for the recovery of the land on its own. The ashes will act as a nutrient medium to that soil, but it will take a long period of time, around 4 to 5 years, for the reabsorption of those nutrients from the ashes to the soil. But nowadays, due to the overpopulation, this process is not in a practice, because for this practice we have to left the land barren for around 4 to 5 years. But due to the increasing demand of food, we cannot leave that. Okay, so what are the consequences of deforestation? The atmospheric carbon dioxide has increased, due to which the loss of biodiversity, because as the forest has removed, most of the wild animals become habitless. Okay, they are not having any habitat to live. It leads to the disturbance in hydrological cycle, that is water cycle. As you know, the forests are the responsible for the high rainfall and the precipitation, then the soil erosion and desertification. So for the prevention of all this, we have several steps taken place. The people who are aware, who are related to the nature very closely, always taken step first. So this is the first moment, that the Vishnu movement, which is taking place in 1731, when the king of Jodhpur ordered to cut out or take out the lot amount of timber for the construction of his new palace. The people and the minister of those king went to the village. So what happened? The Bishnoi people start hugging the trees, saying that first you have to cut us, after that you can cut the tree. But the people of the king were not human, right? They do not have the humanity, so they cut down many peoples along with the trees to fulfill the need of the king. So same movement taking place in the Garhwal region, that is known as, and that is a very popular moment known as the Chippew Movement in 1974, where the local women protected the tree from cutting by hugging them. Okay, so in 1980, the government of India has introduced a concept of joint forest management, that is JFM, which work with the local communities for the protection and the management of the forest, so that if the forest cutting, if the tree cutting is taking place there. We are able to plant as much as tree possible there, and we only utilize the tree for the essential use, right? We can take the benefit of fruit product, forest products, but we do not harm them. Okay, so this is all we have done, and this is all we have completed in our environmental issue chapter. And with this note, we have completed our this chapter. So this is all about our last chapter of ecology. With this, our ecology is also over. From tomorrow onwards, we'll start with the chapter number 9, that is strategies used in the food production. Okay, so I hope everything is clear to you. If you have any doubt, you can leave your doubts in the chat box. And please give your feedback through this NPS poll. Okay, so with this, only 10 seconds are left. Please give your feedback. Okay, so with this, we are going to end our class. We'll meet tomorrow.